A dramatic reading of Tottenham Hotspur season 22 to 23, written by Antonio Conte. If we're going to discuss a penalty, it means we don't want to see other situations. For the penalty for me, it was not a penalty. I stop. We close the situation. The worst situation is what was happening on the pitch. What has been happening in the last few months. What is happening in my second season. I think that it's the right moment to speak because I think after this performance, for me, this is unacceptable. We were winning 3-1 in control of the game and were able to concede 2 goals into risk, but also Fraser made a fantastic save in one situation. I think it's much better to go into the problem because the problem is that for another time, we showed that we are not a team. We are 11 players that go into the pitch. I see selfish players. I see players that don't want to help each other and don't put their heart. Before today, I prefer to hide the situation than to try to speak, to try to improve the spirit, the situation with the words, with a lot of situations. Because about tactical or technical aspect, this is one situation. The most important thing if you want to become a strong team, if you want to become competitive, if you want to fight, to win, is the desire, the fire that you need to have in your eyes, in your heart. And you have to show this in every moment, in every moment. If I have to compare last season and this season, we have to improve. But now we are worse in this aspect. When you're not a team, anything can happen in any moment. Today is the last situation. Don't forget that in FA Cup, we lost to Sheffield United. Who played with young players. We were able with a strong team to be dropped from the FA Cup. And then a lot of situations, I repeat, that we are not going to improve. I'm not speaking about technical aspect or tactical aspect. About being a team, being a team, being a team is the most important thing. To understand that we play for the badge. We have to play to make our fans proud of us. We have to play to show desire, the fire in your eyes to win. If you have this, for sure you don't go out in the FA Cup. And today, we'd win. Maybe previously in the other games, something can change. But here we're used to it for a long time. The club has responsibility for the transfer market. Every coach that stayed here has that responsibility. And the players? The players. Where are the players? In my experience, I can tell you that if you want to be competitive, if you want to fight, you have to improve this aspect. And this aspect, I can tell you, in this moment is really, really low. And I see only 11 players that play for themselves. You're finding an alibi, another alibi. You try and find an excuse for the players. Okay, continue to do this. To find an excuse for the players. You do only this. You only do this. Excuses for the players. But the players, maybe, my future, then we lost confidence. They lost spirit. They lost being a team. Excuses, excuses, excuse. Try to protect them every time. Come on, come on, come on. We are professional. The club pays a lot of money. The players receive money. Me receive money. You understand? Not to find excuse or not to show spirit or show a sense of belonging or don't show a sense of responsibility because we are showing this. For me, this is unacceptable because for me, this is the first time in my career to see a situation like this. Until now, I wasn't able to change. Not to change, but compared to last season, the situation went to become worse. Why is it happening? Why? Because they're used to it here. They're used to it. They don't play for something important. Yeah, they don't want to play under pressure. They don't want to play under stress. It is easy in this way. Tottenham's story is this. 20 years there as the owner, and they never won something, but why? The fault is only for the club or for every manager to stay there. I've seen the managers that Tottenham have had on the bench. You risk to disrupt the figure of the manager and to protect the other situation at every moment. Until now, I try to hide the situation, but now, no. Because I repeat, I don't want to see what I have seen today because this is unacceptable and only acceptable for the fans. They pay us, they follow us, pay the ticket, and to see the team another time to have this type of performance is unacceptable. We have to think a lot about this. I said that I wanted to see the fire, not that I have seen. It is different. I said that I want to see the fire in their eyes and their hearts. I want to see the right spirit. Okay, not only in the training session, on the pitch. Because here, you have to make the difference. And I am not saying this. And until now, I try to hide the situation now, but there are 10 games to go. And some people think that we can fight. Fight for what with this spirit, this attitude, this commitment? What, for 7th, 8th, 10th place? I'm not used to this position. I'm really upset, and everyone has to take their responsibility. Not only the club, the manager, and the staff. The players have to be involved in the situation because it's time to change the situation if Tottenham want to change. If they want to continue in this way, they can change a manager. A lot of managers. But the situation cannot change. Believe me. So that was a dramatic reading from Antonio Conte on his latest meltdown at one of his various clubs. This one was actually a Tottenham Hotspur, which was something that I think we all had on our bingo cards until the end of the season. Did you have that one in yours, Neil? For bingo?
I don't keep bingo cards with Spurs. I find I burn through like three or four of them and nobody pays up. So like,
That's a pity. Yeah. I mean, like if it's any consolation, I think like we're all acting in with kind of mild shock that this has happened so soon into Spurs season. Like, really, 10 games to go and this happened? Like, who could have seen that coming? You know?
well, I suppose to think about it, well, funnily enough, that diatribe, that 10-minute long diatribe, only answered about two questions.
Yes.
So he was clearly just like he was going off. He was losing his fucking nut.
Which
And
I'm impressed with, by the way, because I don't think I've ever seen such a rant or ramble since Scott Steiner tried to teach maths at Samoa Joe.
I don't think I've ever seen a press conference like that. Like every single like opinion piece on it um from other journalists and stuff like that.
Mm.
Like all of it is just prefaced by how shocked they are. They've never seen a press conference like this. They've never seen a fucking manager just go completely off it. Um, he just goes fucking mental. Um, it was brilliant. It was just wonderful to watch. I loved it. I was laughing my arse off at it. Um, I suppose my overall opinion of it. Okay, then, as we were chatting about in our WhatsApp thing,
Mm.
look, yeah, a lot of what he says makes a bit of sense, but it's difficult to have sympathy with a guy who takes home 50 million quid a year to stick 10 behind the ball and hope that Kane and Son or Kane, or maybe, or now Kulusevski can bail him out
Mm.
with a bit of magic, you know. I mean, again, the funny thing is they're still fourth or fifth, aren't they? Fifth? Which way are they?
I'm about to consult the table, but I believe they're still fourth, yes.
Fuck me, the
Uh,
fourth. Yeah,
yeah, they're still fourth, yeah.
the fourth.
Now,
Like, oh,
this here's the thing, you see, they are on the same number of games as Arsenal. So every team around them actually have either two or three games in hand on them.
yeah,
So in
Brighton have like
theory,
3 games on hand on them, and they're on 42 points.
exactly, yeah. And funny enough, one of the games that we have in hand on them is against them. So this is where it gets kind of interesting. Like Brighton, like in theory, if say all the teams behind them win all their games, Spurs could actually drop down to seventh. That's mathematically possible. Um, so that's perhaps what Conte is kind of saying there, that like the league position is actually distortionary. Like they are fourth only by virtue of the fact that they've actually played more games than everyone else around them.
Yeah, they've played more games. They played two more games than Man U, who are a point ahead. Like, so I think he's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're not catching them. So the only way is down.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just I'm loving this implosion at Spurs. Like it's just fucking hilarious. Like it's a
Mm.
perfect storm of like really, really poor decisions. And they've all come home to roost. Check me. Like it is
Well,
proper
this
Zap Brannigan
has been
level
coming,
fucking
hasn't it? Like it's we knew this even at the start of the season that eventually Conte was going to like discover the inertia of Spurs and just go on a mad one, just even to preserve his own self image, because he wasn't going to stay at Spurs this long anyway, realistically speaking.
no, he wasn't. I mean, like that's the thing. Like he signed on a short-term contract initially,
Mm.
simply because like he had nowhere else to go. He didn't even want to go there initially. Didn't he want to go back to Juve or
Juve is where he's been kind of egging for. I
yeah,
think the only job free at the time he signed was probably Real, but
yeah,
Real only had eyes for Carlo Ancelotti, so that was going to happen.
exactly. So like he was a big name coach with winners medals under his belt in the Premier League, and he'd no job going. Like he was like, ah, fuck it, I'll see how much
Mm.
I can sweat this dickhead down for. And unbelievably, they agreed to 15 million quid a year.
It turns
Um,
out quite a lot.
uh, I'm not a financial expert, but that's a lot of money. Uh, and it's just crazy. Like and yeah, it's all unraveled. But it's hilarious in that it's unraveled and it needn't have because Conte over a short stint there has gotten more investment than say Poch ever did.
Mm.
Poch got them to a fucking Champions League final. He got more investment, I think, than Mourinho did.
Mm-hmm.
Mourinho got them to a League Cup. Was it a League Cup final before they
League Cup
jacked him?
final against Man City,
It was
yes.
Man City, yeah.
Uh, and he ended up getting sacked before he could actually have that final.
Yeah, they sacked him like 8 days beforehand or 7 days beforehand, whatever.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like, so the last two managers like that they sacked got them to finals.
Mm.
And it's just like, here's Conte. we're gonna back him, yeah, sure, we're gonna give him money, but like it's just terrible. Like it really is awful. Like they're
But do you think he has a point then? Do you think he has a point in that the squad, the players themselves are the issue, or is this a case of the boy crying wolf and it is actually him tactically that's at fault for why he feels this team is going nowhere?
oh
Could he not be a
both.
bit more adventurous?
Oh no, it's both. Like as I said, like my initial comment wasn't like a scintillating barb for no reason. Like there is
Mm,
blame on both sides here. Again, what he said makes sense. Yeah, a lot of that squad they're just fucking they don't give a shit anymore. Like um lots of them have like Spurs where they are now. Spurs is their ceiling.
yeah.
And it's a fucking it's been shattered above them and it's raining down now on top of them. Um, and the marketable stars that they do have are all on long-term contracts, and they know Levy's gonna fucking demand huge fees for them, and there's like nobody's gonna pay that now. I
Mm,
mean, not even Manchester United again, but well, maybe Man U, like maybe Kane might go to Man U, but that's it. You know, they've all and lots of their other performers have had terrible seasons. Richarlison's been a fucking busted flush. Son's had probably the worst season of his career. Um, fucking Kane's even had a bad season by his standards, and he's still netted 20 goals.
yeah.
So and he just wants out. Like he so desperately wants out. He's broken fucking whatever goal scoring records he's wanted to at Spurs. Now he wants out. He wants a winner's medal. He wants to win shit. He's had two finals in all of his time there, and hilariously, he shouldn't have been playing in either of them because he was half fit going into both of them.
Mm, yeah.
And that's the thing about it. So that's the history of the Tottenham.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like it as you said, like if you look at just the league alone, you see them going forth, you're thinking like that's kind of on target for Spurs. But like I said, that also speaks a lot about how chaotic the league has been this season. Because again, you're looking at Liverpool being out of position, Chelsea out of position, even that kind of like those kind of perennial seventh place teams are not there anymore. The likes of your West Ham's, Leicester's, and Everton's, they're all fighting for relegation. So you've got this kind of new breed of Brighton and Brentford coming in. You're thinking like they're not going to challenge for top five or whatever. And Newcastle still kind of like the proverbial interlopers there, still knocking about. So like you don't, there is definitely a false sense of security league position wise for Spurs. Um, but there's certainly no like kind of like disillusion when it comes to how they play. Like Spurs, for me, whenever I watch them, are one of the worst performing teams in that regard. They
They're
play atrocious football.
fucking terrible. I mean, like, they started off pretty much for months on end, only showing up for one half of the game.
Yeah, and that
So
felt
they
like a
just
tactic to me. That felt like a
yeah.
genuine
To be
choice.
honest, with
Like,
you, I've honestly no idea if that was a tactic or not, and I don't think we'll ever find out.
yeah,
Fucking Tottenham Hotspur. Like we don't
mm,
know, like whether or not it was the whole purpose was to play absolutely turgid football for one whole half and then blitz them in the final 45 minutes.
mm,
Never any idea. Um, but now they've even dropped that part and they're just playing like just 90 minutes of turgid shit, like with
yeah,
occasional flashes. If like Richarlison or you know Kane, actually not Richarlison because he scored two goals and both of them have been offside. um, and he's taken his top off of both of them, meaning that he's been booked more times than he scored goals. Um,
fantastic.
so
Couldn't think of a more Ricarlison stat than that, to be honest.
that's a fucking Richarlison stuff for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just there. Like this is awful. Like, and to be
Mm.
honest with you, this is the start. I see this as a start, and not hopefully see, but I do objectively, if I can take my red and white tinted glasses off, I do see this as a start of a very deep malaise setting in at that club unless they correct it. And I don't see who they're going to get to correct it. Like, you know,
But well, again, it goes back to this kind of argument because I've seen this kind of some people kind of having this discourse about, what Conte was kind of really talking about. And again, the kind of overall feeling was that this is something he's been kind of trying to keep a lid under all season, in that this is genuinely what he's been feeling about his players, and now he just couldn't basically help himself. Whether it is and basically come and get me, or rather come and sack me, please,
oh
plead from
man, I've
Daniel.
never seen anybody more desperate to be sacked in my entire life. Like he is literally just going, sack me. Sack me! I made the
Like,
biggest
I certainly got that impression anyway. Like, that was for sure what was going on there. But I think what's even more concerning is that Daniel Levy doesn't really care. Yeah, like because he sees the payout and goes, "No, you're staying here. Fuck this. Like you've been given out about this. You fix the mess." And on the other side, then you got the players who very clearly don't want to play for this manager anymore and are desperate to be kind of babysit by Pochettino again. Like realistically speaking,
Yeah, but Poch, why would Poch go back? Like, if I
I,
was
I
Pochettino, I
agree.
wouldn't.
I don't think there was any reason for him to go back. Like, there's actually no point in him going to somewhere he's already tried his darndest to win anything with.
Yeah, I'm if Poch was going back, right? First off, you'd want more than 15 million quid a year. It's like if you paid that fucking sack biscuit fucking 15 million a year, you're going to pay me more. I want at least 18 before I even
Yeah,
talk. Secondly, I want cast iron in my contract. I can quit and you still have to pay me my whole contract rate. Guarantees that if you violate them, like, I want them written down so that, like, if you don't back me to this to X amount in the
mm,
transfer windows, I can leave and you still have to pay me all of my money. Or
yeah.
if I don't get final say on transfers, I can leave and you still have to pay me all of my money, so on and so
All
forth.
roads lead to you paying me a lot of fucking money. Yeah,
Yeah, and I leave with it, and I leave with it, and that's just something that just they are not going to do. They are absolutely not going to do. And for anybody who thinks, oh, Poch isn't like that, like, all right, then you'd want to fucking, if he's planning on going back to Spurs, you'd want to get like that because they fucked them once and they'll do it again. You know,
yeah, yeah.
um,
Given the opportunity, you would. Yeah.
Spurs are in a real fucking pickle. I mean, like, obviously, I mean, like, it's been obvious for months that Conte is going to go, and people are going to point at his ego and the fact that he was getting fucking over £1 million a month, so he was just sitting on his hands and all the other fucking shit that comes with Conte. And that's all fair enough. That's actually all true. And somebody else will come in. Maybe things will improve. Don't know who that someone else is now, but fuck it. But there is a cultural malaise there that the owners have just not addressed for decades now, and
Mm.
it's turned into a rot. Um,
So
there's so
yeah,
many.
so for the way you're saying that, it almost seems like the Pochettino reign was kind of a lucky accident, almost a freak accident.
It was a fluke. It
Yeah.
was a fluke, but also it was the culmination. Like, it was Poch basically going, right, I can overdrive these guys this season, but
Mm,
after this, they will have nothing else. I will get you somewhere. I will show you something. But in return, you have to back me. The squad needs an overhaul. I need at least 6 players, and I need them all of quality. So I'm talking maybe 30 million quid a player, at least.
mm,
I need 6 of them. Half this squad has to go, maybe more. Yes, we got 1 or 2 nice academy guys coming through. We got some young players, but no, I need starting quality, and I need them in early. I need a pre-season with these guys. And
mm. It just
then they
isn't
went.
happening.
I went,
Yeah.
no, we're not going to give you any money. No, fuck
Yeah.
that. And so he
And
left.
and and this is the conundrum as well now because like we've seen the pattern from Spurs at the moment is that they seem to want to try and get like a celebrity manager. Like they've had this before with Jose and now with Conte, and they're thinking like, okay, maybe I think that's where Daniel Levy would like to see Spurs as this kind of weird kind of like hub for famous managers. Like, come see the wonderful Jose Mourinho, come see the wonderful Antonio Conte. Whereas, realistically speaking, they kind of need to do almost kind of what Chelsea are doing almost, and just like try and like put their colors to a young coach and just let things breed naturally. But unfortunately, that's not how the league works. Like as Chelsea are learning, you're gonna have to deal with a lot of short term pain if you want to let that play out. You know, you're gonna have to let this guy make mistakes by his own volition, but hopefully the results will come. That's the kind of hope you live with.
That's the hope as well. There's no
Yeah.
guarantee of that. And that's just the thing. Like, Spurs have
Mm,
been through the ringer so many times that, like, putting up with this putting up with the short term pain for the long term vision, when
mm.
there's no guarantee that the long term vision will pay out. I think that's asking a bit much. I think, there's going to have to be some serious teardown here, but, like, they can't sell the club. It's too debt laden.
Yeah.
Um, so, I really don't see what they have there. I'm like, they've just sat on an asset over a long period and just allowed a kind of culture of not achieving to become dominant. And again, like you said, they just don't care. They're more interested in the commercial aspect rather than and the status of owning a London-based Premier League club rather than doing anything on the fucking pitch.
Yeah, and that's like and that is a kind of inertia that I think like I think I'm sure you might disagree with me here, but I think Arsenal lived through that phase for a long time as well, where Arsenal kind of got comfortable with their status, and the players you brought in then also kind of got comfortable with that until there was a cultural change when they got sick of the inertia and going like we don't like we're getting tired of not being in the big dance anymore because this is coming after a stage where Arsenal were the top team and competing for titles, and now other teams have kind of usurped that position. So now it's time for us to start competing. Whereas Spurs, I think they have to actually develop that drive again. And again, the links to the Pochettino's kind of harboring back to an era that didn't really exist in the first place. Kind of way. It's
Very
like
much
those.
so, yeah.
It's like me being nostalgic for the 1980s. It was like never being fucking born in it.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like it's how would I know what the 80s are like? Except for the sweet, delicious smell of cocaine. But that's a separate issue. I mean, and the less about Spurs, the better. In the regard to the cheese room, as they like to call it, if you know what I mean. Um, but but yeah, when it comes to meltdowns, it hasn't actually been a very good week for meltdowns. Actually, I think I didn't realize that that St. Patrick's weekend was where everyone just kind of bottled up their innate Fenian aggression. Or if you're Fulham, you just decided to just like lash it out all in like 5 minutes of wonderful glory. And I mean, like I can't think of anything more self-destructive and Fulhamish than having three players sent off in 3 minutes. That is just fucking sublime.
Not
You know,
even the two
three red
players,
cards. Yeah, exactly.
two
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 play
players and your head coach. Yeah,
in like less than 1 minute. you know, it was absolutely fucking crazy. Like,
yeah.
so like Willian deliberately handballs the ball off the line, pings it off, and you can even see it on his face. He knows he's like, "Oh bollocks, VAR are gonna review this." And he's like, "Oh, it was took down by my side," but he knows there's going to be a VAR angle that's going to show him handballing this, and he's
Yeah.
just kind of hoping he maybe got his hip turned or got his leg up, and maybe got the post in the way so that the camera angle behind him didn't catch it, but it fucking did, and it's very obvious. So he's gonna get red carded. Then as the ref goes to the fucking monitor, which is bizarre because I don't know why the VAR official can't turn around and go, yeah, he's handled that, mate. It's very obvious.
I feel like they're
So
doing it for the jokes. It's like, lad, you have to see this.
you
Look at
gotta see
this.
this. Oh my god, what the fuck? So as he's going over, Silva throws a water bottle at him. Just like, all right then, mate, you're gone. And then on his way to give fucking Willian his red card, he gets shoved by Mitrovic.
Yeah.
And the Mitrovic, here's the funny thing, right? I think Mitrovic would have kind of gotten away with dragging out of his arm had he not, as he dragged out of his arm, gotten right into his face at the same time. And you're like, oh, mate, you can't do that. So you fucking God. They're like, they're going like, this actually happened? This is actually fucking happening. This has actually happened. Holy
Mhm.
fucking shit. They've picked up 3 red cards in less than a minute, and it's all hilarious. Like, and in a game that they were on top, like, yeah, they were only 1-0 ahead, but United did nothing. They weren't really threatening. They were taking pot shots. Veghorst did the odd thing that he kind of sometimes tries to do, but can't really because he's just not that good.
Oh, you mean that whole thing where he kind of like stands in the number 10 position and kind of gets in the way a bit?
Yeah. And
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just sitting there going, oh my fucking God. Like, and that's the thing, hilarious thing about it, because Silva was also sent off. Like, you can't, there's no discipline that's going to come from this, which is an unfortunate thing, unless the owners get in. Like, if I was the owners now of Fulham, I'd walk straight in, I'd go, right, William, you know what you did? You're a fucking idiot. Here's a fine, and then I turn
Yeah,
around
this
to
is
then I turn around to Mitrovic and Silva and go, right, you two, you're not getting paid this month. Your wages are going to a children's charity. You fucking idiots. You
You see,
absolutely.
I would agree with you there, but considering the owners of the team is the Cans and the director of football is Tony Khan, who famously this year had to fucking sit politely as one of his own members of staff literally tries to like nuke the PR of his company while eating fucking donuts. I don't think he's going to do that somehow. I think he's going to probably let William win the world title, to be honest.
That's the bad thing about it, and that's the
Yeah.
horrible thing. So like they're just gonna go, well, they're gonna Silva's gonna go do his press conferences where he talks absolute fucking bollocks.
Mm.
Um, and that's just it, And then he made out that he's got like that they've history with Chris Kavanagh, the referee, so that he's going to get a fine for that as well, on top of the fucking multiple match ban for referee for because he's slagging off
They're
the league.
classy bookers, aren't they? Like it's
I
like
was like,
yeah, everyone's
wow.
out to get us.
Absolutely. Like, fuck it, they should change the club motto to dig up, stupid.
I
Dig
mean
up.
that does check out. That does check out. But yeah, like I don't think it counts as the kind of meltdown thing. But we'll throw in a mention here to Pep Guardiola, who in this very like if we're gonna complete a hat trick of just like very strange things happening, um, shall we go with someone who celebrates a 7-0 win in a Champions League game where your star striker scored 5 goals and you celebrated by moaning that Manchester United have Julia Roberts as a celebrity fan.
Still think this counts as a meltdown, but like kind of like when your face melts after having too much PCP.
Yeah, it's like an
You know,
existential
like,
meltdown.
yeah,
Like,
like when the LSD kicks in, you realize that shit, that was three tabs, not one, and you're about
yeah,
to, and you're wondering whether or not your fucking psyche is equipped to deal with what's about to come. Yeah, that was crazy. Funny thing on that game, like he celebrates his star striker scoring 5 goals by subbing him off with half an hour to go,
yeah.
and then saying, "Oh, it was for his own good."
It was for their own good. Like,
Are
stop,
you
stop. He's
are
already
you
dead.
are you fucking joking me? It's like, why did you sub him off? Like, I'm like, because that's what Eva Haaland in his post-match conference, in one of his more verbose post-match conferences. Normally, his match conferences is basically just him standing there going, "Hi." Um,
Well, that's a great impression, by the way.
yeah, and
You're
that's
working
it.
on that. You've been clearly
Yeah,
working on that.
I needed the ear-to-ear grin as
Yeah.
well on that. But like, he was just when he asked him, I was like, "Yeah." I said it to him. I was like, I was on for a double hat trick there. Why did you do that? And he's like, "Oh no, if he breaks this record, he'll be bored later on." I was like, do you not know how players work? Are you fucking serious? And and then he mentions, "Oh, Messi," because the last time somebody scored five in a match, he was also the manager, and that was Messi,
Yeah.
and that was a record. And I genuinely thought that he subbed off Haaland because he didn't want to take a record off Lionel Messi because, as you know, he probably has like a pillow made out of Messi, like out of like hair that he's collected from him over the years in Barcelona, and he's had it stuffed into a pillow. Um,
That is entirely possible, though. Like, that is like, we say that as a joke, but I
Yeah,
do
no, no,
genuinely.
no. First off, I'm not really saying it as a joke. Like, it is funny because it's quite ridiculous. But then you watch the guy, listen to him talk, and you're thinking, it's not that ridiculous. you know?
How he like, randomly burst into tears because Sergio Aguero's retiring. Like,
Oh my
you don't
God.
even played the guy in the last season. What are you talking about?
That's
Like,
it. Like, it's weird. He just goes off on mad tangents. Like, I've no idea. Like,
he's emotionally all over the shop.
that's the
Like I
thing.
said, don't get me wrong. Like if compared to if like there'll always be the eternal question of like like this generation's Wenger Ferguson is Klopp Guardiola. Like I can never deny that Guardiola is like artistically like pleasing on the eye when it comes to his footballing style. But my God, I'd never want to be sat in a room with him. Like I think like in the shape of 5 minutes, he'd explain to me the virtues of the 4-4-2 diamond and also tell me that he's like on the verge of tears because the Banshees of Inisherin didn't get as many Oscars that he wanted. It's like, mate, I don't even
I
know
love their
you.
jumpers. I love the jumpers. So nice. So nice. The jumpers are so nice.
I don't even know you, pal. Like
Yeah.
I need to go. I need to get out of here.
He
Like
does
I'm
seem
gonna
like
live
somebody.
with him.
Does seem like somebody you'd pay like 3 grand not to get stuck in a lift with.
Yeah, like that should be that's the argument. Is like who would you rather be stuck in a lift with, Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp? Right?
Yeah.
Guardiola would have this 5 minute rant at you, talking at you about something completely irrelevant to everyone else except for his very strange brain. Whereas I think Jurgen Klopp would pop a fart and laugh the shit off about it, and that's the
Yeah,
kind of person I can get behind.
because he's nuts and he's German, so like everything's so he's like really eccentric and everything sounds really aggressive. So he's probably somebody who could ask for the time and make it sound like he's describing which limb he's gonna fucking jigsaw off your body first. He's like
And that I can respect. I can understand.
I got
I can
behind
work
that.
on that level. I can work on that level.
Yeah, but that was just another batshit fucking press conference, and at some point you're thinking like, mate, you've just stuffed Dortmund in the last round, in the what round of 16 in the fucking
Yeah,
Champions
you
League.
stuffed Leipzig 7-0.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh no, Leipzig. Yeah, it was
yeah.
Leipzig. You just what are you doing? Just say like, yes, we were superior. Yes, just say that. Yeah, just say yeah, we were better. Don't say shiting on about Julia Roberts. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, like that just shows you the level of self-control that a lot of football journalists have in those press conferences. Like none of them stood up and go, "Mate, what the fuck are you on about?" Like it was just, oh man, I was just just going, "What the fuck? Am I high? Like I know, is he high? Like that's a conversation where you're sitting there going like, one of us is on drugs or has
Yeah.
gone off his drugs, and I'm not sure which."
Is it? I do think it's an interesting decision that the Etihad have started to pump nitrous oxide into the press rooms, but I think it does actually add for a more eliminating conversation, you know. But
Spike
so
everybody's water with fucking LSD.
yeah, why not? Like, yeah. Today we just we just sped up the process and just put all the LSD in the coffee machine. So help
Mhm.
yourselves. Um, but yeah, it has been a good week for meltdowns. Like even those three that we haven't even talked about, fucking Gary Lineker being silenced by the state, which I think is, in retrospect, inherently funny, but also terrifying at the same time. Because if they can silence Match of the Day, Neil, what else can they silence?
I mean, like it talking of absolutely weird, strange things to watch. That truncated match of the football highlight show.
Football highlights,
It
Premier League highlights.
was just so fucking mad. It was like, oh man, it's like Chat GPT had just taken over the fucking station. I was like, I will show you the content you want, humans. Here are some goals. Here is some kittens. Ice fishing.
More kittens,
Ice fishing.
ice fishing.
And he's just sitting there going, like, this is fucking crazy. Like, no even commentary or anything like that. So like you couldn't make sense of it. I was listening to the Second Captain's podcast. Noam McDevitt was watching it. And he was just like, because there was no timing on any of them, and there was no commentary to contextualize anything what he saw. So when he tuned in to see like the Arsenal game, he was like, and now all of a sudden Gabriel Jesus is the ball. I was like, hang on, when the fuck did he get back? It's like that was quite noteworthy. When did it happen? What the fuck is going on? Like, he genuinely didn't know if they were showing like a match clip from months ago, like pre-World Cup, or if
Hmm.
it's just Jesus is now back in the Arsenal team and nobody said anything. He's like, this is bad. I need context, contextualize, man. Um, it
That
was
is funny.
Yeah, it was hilarious. I had a great laugh at that. It was a fucking stupid fucking thing that they did. Um,
It just goes to show you like how absurd, obviously we're talking from the humble country of Ireland where absolutely none of this ever happens. But but I think if by some kind of weird like twist of fate that fucking Marty Morrissey gets like censored by the nation's press, I think we'd probably kick up a stink about it. Just saying, like, if Marty Whelan was sacked because of his opinions, I think we'd probably go to war for Marty Whelan. So it only makes sense that that the match of the day pundits, like the perennial favorites like they are, like they would absolutely like cause some sort of cultural paradigm shift in British politics. Like, could you imagine that like someone having to make sense of this era of history would have to write a chapter in their proverbial history books about how Gary Lineker might have taken down the Tories like fucking media dominion piece by fucking piece, like he was eating a pack of crisps. Like that is the funniest part of that for me is that like they're gonna point to him and go, you ruined all this. I was like, really? I was watching the Arsenal Everton game. What were you doing? Like it's just the funniest thing about it for me is that even then it's like every single person with some sort of conscience or soul like even like speaks up about it, in an era where like we've been taught like footballers are self-entitled people. Is like, yeah, when the Tories in charge are seen as more self-entitled, that says a lot about where you guys are going as a culture. But yeah, that was just inherently funny. In any case, let's talk about the Premier League again. So we mentioned Spurs and their existential crisis. So it's only fair that we talk about all the other clubs in a current existential crisis because it's been a while since you spoke about the relegation scrap, Neil. And when the last time we spoke about this, Nathan Jones was still Southampton manager, and he was discussing the finer points of being a man down and playing better football than you. Um, David Moyes is still in the job, which is kind of baffling everyone else at West Ham, mainly because they can't find a better manager. In
They
fact, I
have
think they have.
literally openly stated that the only reason he's in a job,
Yeah,
like
essentially.
like huge club sources have come out and said, "Oh, we just can't really find anybody who will take the job or who we
Yeah,
think will do any better than him." So we're just like, yeah, we're just gonna leave him in there. And I'm just going, wow, holy fuck.
I do genuinely think like West Ham are 2 steps away from actually hiring Ted Lasso as their coach. Like, I mean, like it works for season 3. They've got Nate Shelley in charge and they're top of the league. So I mean, like,
Yeah,
why not
they're
actually?
killing it, man.
Why not
They're
let
killing
reality
it.
take over fiction? Fuck 'em, why not? You know?
Yeah, no, it's weird. Like they're now firmly in, well, they're not firmly ensconced in 18th. Like they're 18th now, so they're below the drop zone, but they do have a game in hand at least on everybody else around them. Um, and because it's so fucking tightly packed in there, a win would see them 13th.
Yeah,
It's like fucking 5 places up. So that's just mental, man.
yeah. We should provide context on indeed where all these teams are at the moment because now since we've
Actually, not, they've
like
got
kind of
12th.
left this relegation
They've
scrap.
a better fucking thing than Palace. I think they're 12th. Holy shit.
Yeah, this is where it's getting crazy because a lot the teams up as far as 12th have now got the shits up them because Crystal Palace recently let go of Patrick Vieira as their manager because they're on a winless streak that goes back to the start of the year. Like they haven't won a game all 2023, and that's including the cup competitions, I think.
Yeah.
The goals are dried up, their defense are crumbling, it's all falling apart for Palace. So we'll go back to like where their champ manager hunt is going, and you'd be shocked to hear it's going back to Roy Hodgson. But Wolves have already like pulled the trigger on their season. They've got Lopetegui in charge, and they're currently now a lot better, but they're still in danger of going down. They're in 13th at the moment and 3 points away. You got Leeds who then pulled the trigger on their manager sacking. So now they've got Javi Grazia in charge, formerly of Watford. So he knows what it's like to be sacked at early at 7 a.m. in the morning. Then you got Everton who've done the same. They've got Sean Dyche in charge, and it's kind of like he's done what he can. Like he's the tactics already are implemented, and he's doing what he can. So it is just pretty much down to look at this stage. Then you got Nottingham Forest, who like if at the start of the season would have said fair cup if they did get relegated because he had like 40 players and a crazy fucking heroin boat manager as an owner. So like yeah, I think you're doing as best you can to stay afloat there. You got Leicester who have got that kind of inertia as well, and now they're teetering on the drop as well. And currently you've got West Ham, you got Bournemouth and Southampton. So Bournemouth have not replaced Scott Parker over the season. They let Gary O'Neill stay in charge, and he still managed to get the odd win. Like he beat Liverpool at home, and nearly took Arsenal to a win or a draw at the Emirates. Had it not been for heroics from Reece Nelson, so he's still getting performances out of this team, even though his tactics are genuinely on par with Duncan Ferguson. But as daft as it sounds, sometimes that's all you need in a fucking relegation scrap. Um, and then you've got Southampton who have kind of done the same idea and basically not let anyone take over the reins, but let one of the coaches do so because he's well liked by the players. So you've got teams that kind of like almost resign themselves to not hiring a top coach just in case they're relegated because that's a bigger payout and kind of just riding their luck a little bit. And you got other teams then that are thinking like, oh, we need a top coach to save our season. Hence why you got Dyche and Lopetegui in charge, and Brendan Rodgers is still like probably getting his teeth whitened on the company card every year, every week. So now you've essentially got like what is that, 8 teams now in within 4 points of each other, which is a relegation scrap I don't think I've ever seen before in the Premier League, or at least not in
I
recent.
yeah, I fully agree with that. I can't remember the last time I saw relegation scrap this massive, this varied, and this tight. Like this is hilarious. Like there's no way this is going. There's no way the bottom three are going to be done and dusted by the time May rolls round.
Hmm.
Um, like this is going to go down to the wire. Like I reckon at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 of those teams their final day, their final game will be like, oh no, you have to get something out of this or you're going down. Or
Hmm.
if you don't get something out of this, depending on other situations, you're gonna go down. Like they're gonna be fighting for their life right up until the end of the season. And yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. I just well, like it's incredible. Like I can't believe it. And it's just it's and the teams that are in there as well, like West Ham, Everton are there. Like these are teams that you're like, what are they doing there? Like this is
Mm.
crazy. Southampton as well. Like Southampton might actually benefit. Like there's lots of think pieces that have come out that Southampton actually probably do need to get relegated.
Yeah, like they're
Um,
looking at what's happening at Burnley and thinking that they could do with basically a cultural revolution at Southampton, which I kind of I can see that the logic there, but you can't say that for many of the clubs in that in that set there because do you think Everton could afford a relegation? Like West Ham
no,
certainly can't, Leicester can't. You know,
no,
they are desperate to stay in the Premier League for fear of basically the ship actually sinking to the bottom of the ocean.
oh
You
yeah,
know,
absolutely. Like the fucking Undertow will take them out and they'll
yeah.
drown. Like that's and I think that's that's a reason. I think that's true for almost of those. Like Southampton, a cultural revolution, like that's no guarantee. Like you look at Burnley and you're thinking, oh well, it worked for them. That's not going to work for you. You were a really really good fucking Premier League team up until a couple of years ago. Like go back to that. Don't go back to the fucking championship, you fucking head cases. Like I'm just looking at that going, who thought that up? Like that's insane. And but yeah, it's fucking this is mental with regards to like Everton. That's basically just chickens coming home to roost.
Yeah.
Like just almost a decade of just poor management decisions have just imploded, and the club almost might look like they're going down.
Yeah.
Um, Dyche might again, as we said, Dyche is literally doing all he can, but I think he's now beginning to go. I'm really glad I put that clause in my contract if
Mm.
they go down, because I think he's going, oh shit, this is actually going to be a lot more difficult than I fucking thought. Because he's probably looking at that Everton team, looking at the players and going, the fuck, I could keep them up, fucking printing money, like taking candy from a baby. And then he gets in, he's like, ooh, oh shit. Oh,
But that's the gas thing. Like last season, like Everton should have been relegated. I think we can all agree on that. They were objectively one of the worst teams in the league,
they're
and
fucking
I think it
terrible.
was genuinely down to like one result against. I think it was Villa or Palace. I think, but they won 3-2,
Mm,
and that genuinely saved their season. And again, I don't think Frank Lampard made them an any better team whatsoever. I think he just had
fuck
that kind
no.
of proverbial new manager bounce. But there was already there's without it there's still three teams worse in that league that Everton could basically justifiably say that they were better than. And it just the kind of the I suppose the attrition kind of kicked in from there. Whereas this season, any three of those teams could go down. You could make an argument for all those teams as to be relegated. And you can't really say that any of them deserve to stay up either. It's a weird kind of situation where like if they stay up, happy days. You know, they're not gonna think about what could have happened. But then the three that do almost certainly go down are all justifiable in whatever circumstances. These are all chickens coming home to roost in some sense.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like it's they're all stuck in a kind of contest to see who's the least worst.
Yeah,
And
essentially.
that's like, yeah, again, hey, you're not as bad as those guys. Well done, I suppose. Do you want the clap? Like, I don't give a like. That's not a good scenario to be in. Although they won't give a fuck once the money starts rolling in from being in the Premier League.
Hmm.
But like any of them that do stay up, they've got to kind of go right. This cannot happen again. Like this is why the talking points on Southampton, oh well, maybe going to the Championship might help them out. I was like bollocks. The fact that they're in a relegation dogfight and they're the worst, they've run to the litter in this dogfight.
Hmm.
If they survive, which will be looking at it now, nothing short of a total fucking miracle. If
It
they
might
do
actually be
not,
worthwhile actually seeing who has a better run in. Let me punch the data and let me and if you talk away there, Neil, and see which
yeah.
one is has the best one. So we
So,
work away there.
like, because Southampton are on 28 games. They've played the most out of any of those, bar Everton and Wolves, and Palace. But, like, they're 3 points behind all of them, at
Hmm.
least. So, like, if they stay up, um, that should be that should be the start of your cultural revolution. Like, do your revolution in the Premier League, not the Championship. The Championship is not a good petri dish for a revolution that needs time to grow, needs time to make its own mistakes, and needs a bit of investment. Because if you go down, you lose a shitload of money. You're consolidating. You're more focused on getting rid of all the dead wood from the players that you had in the Premier League because they're all on fat contracts that are
Yeah.
way in excess of anything else any other championship player are going to get. So, so you've got this whole massive. Oh, I need to trim down my squad. I need to massively slash my budget, slash everything, and then I have to get prepared for a 40+ game season, along with cup competitions. And you're going like, so I actually need a bigger squad than what I had beforehand, and you're just like, no, that's not a place you start your revolution from. That's the place you go to get eaten after you've failed your revolution.
Yeah.
And fucking like I don't get it. And that's the thing. Like every single one of these teams, all of their owners should have plans in place that if they stay up, they're like, right, we need to learn our lessons. Nobody's having like if you like everybody's only getting like all execs, you're only getting a week off in the summer because after
Yeah.
you
Because
come
you
back,
don't have time to
exactly,
to be about, like, yeah.
everybody comes back here and we pour through the season and get our lessons learned and go, we need to know how to avoid this ever happening again. Because my God, this cannot happen again.
Because, like, and again, you could say that about like a good percentage of the teams in that group as well. Because, like, I can understand with Southampton trying to get back, like esoterically getting back to where they used to be, but like I said, you did not have the buffer last season to do that, nor did you have it again this season. Like, that was just a pipe dream, unfortunately, and that's kind of been proven to be the case, hasn't it? Like, it's just they could very well have been like cast a C at that
Mm.
stage, but it didn't turn out that way. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna punch numbers here, but I see, like, if we're talking about Southampton initially, right? This is where if we're starting off at that point, like their running is atrocious. I'll be honest, even just looking at it from face value, because they face a good percentage of the top four, like traditional top four, shall we say, but
Mm.
then they're also facing teams all around them. So they don't necessarily have those kind of like safe games where like teams that are comfortably mid-table, you might be able to spring a surprise. No, they have to actually face all of their main rivals. So I'll give you the kind of running order. These are all in different times and so forth, so we won't like agonize over details in that sense. But their games are West Ham away, Man City at home, Crystal Palace at home, Arsenal away, Bournemouth at home, Newcastle away, Nottingham away, Fulham at home, Brighton away, and their last game of the season is Liverpool at home. So that is a tough fucking goal. Like, that is there's a lot going on there. So like let's see. So if we were to speculate, I mean, this will be a fun exercise for the rest of the podcast, but if we're to speculate on how many points West like Southampton could possibly get from that, I can only possibly see them beating Palace and Bournemouth in that set.
Yeah, I'll go with that. But then again, like Bournemouth, as we've seen, they can play. You know,
Yeah.
uh, they've got good players. Palace have good players as well, but like, wow, they haven't got that new manager bounce. The players seem really listless. They don't really have a fucking clue what's going on.
Hmm.
So yeah, they might be able to catch Palace on the hop, but I don't see them getting the win on Bournemouth. I see that as a draw.
Right. Well, we'll do snap judgments on this then. So West Ham away, win, lose, a draw.
Draw.
Draw. Man City at home.
Lose.
Palace at home.
Well, I think they'll win that. I think Palace are a sham.
Arsenal away.
No, they'll lose.
As if I had to ask. Bournemouth at home.
That'll be a draw.
Newcastle away.
Oh, they'll. Mm, here's the thing: Newcastle don't fucking score. No, Newcastle will see them. Oh no, Newcastle have Isaac back. Yeah, they'll win. They'll lose that one. Newcastle will win that
Nottingham Forest away.
one. Ooh, that's an interesting one. No, I think Forest will take him.
Okay, so Forest lose, or Forest win rather.
Uh,
Fulham at home.
mm, I think they'll win that one. Yeah.
Okay. Brighton away.
Oh, they'll lose. Right, no, still
and Liverpool at home.
at the lose.
Right, Grant. So out of those games, they're getting 8 points for the rest of the season. Right. I'm going to keep that in mind.
That puts
For
them
the
on
rest.
32. Oh,
That puts
31.
them 30. Yeah, 31. That's what I'm looking at. So if they're the actual baseline, so every team essentially has to beat Southampton. That's the way I'm kind of identifying this. So if that's the case, right? So I'm going to tally up a few others here. So um actually while I'm doing that, Neil, if you want to indulge us here, like what team do you genuinely see no hope for whatsoever in this kind of group? Because again, as you mentioned, every team kind of has an argument and counter argument to this. So
Oh no,
who do you
Southampton,
see?
Southampton are hopeless. Southampton are
Yeah,
hopeless. I'm just saying what I was talking about earlier was that I don't get the optimistic think pieces that think that them being relegated might be a good thing. It's not going to be, but it is going to happen. They're fucked, you know.
hmm.
Um, and also I kind of genuinely see West Ham going down. Like,
Okay, interesting.
like
Interesting. Is
they're
that to
just
do with the fact that they have like your European commitments as well? Do you think?
no. Like they play fuck all. Like they should be fucking steamrolling the Conference League teams with their B team. Like it's insane. Like there should be no contest. So the last fucking Conference League game they had, their opponents with the 10 men. Like
True.
no, it's like the conference. No, Europe should not be a factor in West Ham. Like they're playing literal league minnows all around the world. Yeah, it's a bit of a fucking maybe a distraction, but it's nothing more than that. It's not something like they're not going to be doing like 120 minutes on a Thursday and then being asked to play 2 p.m. on a Friday on the Sunday as we were. That's
Mm.
not what they're doing. And if they are doing that, they're doing it like they're going to rotate the bollocks out of their team for the Conference League group. That team that did 120 minutes is going to have like 9 changes to it. Like
Yeah.
it's no. I don't see their European obligations as being a hamstring. Like that's a nonsense.
Okay, that's fair, and that's like I think that's a reasonable thing to say there, um, especially because like I know from that kind of standpoint, like they could like point to that, like is that European success even keeping Moyes in a job? And I don't think you could actually adequately say it is.
No. As I said in the last podcast, I think the great Europa League run that they had was that a season or two ago? Was
That
that
was
last?
last season.
Yeah,
That
that
was
was
last
last
season.
season. The great Europa League run that they had, that's papering over. That was papering over the cracks that a
Hmm.
squad in a squad that Moyes just cannot get the best out of anymore. And yeah, that's it. Like I think he's out of a job. Like I think they're really going to they're going to focus on rebuilding what they can of the team, but they're going to focus on getting in a manager first. Hopefully, they'll focus on getting a manager in first who will be able to rebuild or do something with whatever's left of that squad because they're going to get pillaged at the end of the season.
Yeah, I think you can only like say yes to that because even some of the players don't even look that interested anymore, do they? Like can you say the same for like Declan Rice kind of being like all kind of
But Rice has been gone since last season, you know,
yeah, he makes
or
no sense.
since the very beginning of the season. He's been constantly going on about how he wants to play in Europe, wants to play in Europe, wants to play in Europe, wants to play in sorry, he wants to play in the Champions League, he wants to play in the Champions League. So that's it. He has openly stated that he's refused every single contract extension, and this is the last summer that they will be able to cash in on him. So they're going to have to do that. Well, they could let him go for nothing, but my God, would that be a fucking stupid
That would
thing?
be a terrible idea. Like
Oh,
that's
that would be dereliction of duty. That would actually be that should if that happened, that would actually be a jailable offense. Like that's terrible. Like um, it's just crazy. Like I think Moyes gets a relatively easy ride by the English media, for whatever reason, and
they
so
like him.
that's why he's
That's
not.
that's the sound. They just
They
like
might
him.
like him, yeah, they might like him, but that's why he's not getting hammered, even though he's playing absolutely turgid football.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's just pretty much it. And to be honest, I think they're just bracing for impact. They're praying they don't go down because if they go down, it's going to be a bloodbath. But if they
Yeah.
stay up, the picture's not going to be pretty either. They're going to get pillaged. They're going to lose. They're definitely going to lose Rice. They're probably going to lose Bowen. They should lose Bowen. He's
Mm.
far too good for our fucking team. Um, and all the other decent players that they have, all their stock has fallen, so they can't even extract max value. Like Benarama, like his play is
Yeah.
significantly deteriorated with them. Um, who's the other really? Is that Paqueta for them?
Kete is a big one as well. Yeah, because like
That's a big
he,
one, but he's been fucking garbage for them. Like they'll turn around and go, "Oh, so we want 70 million for him," and people are like, "You fucking kidding me? Can I
yeah,
get rather than me giving you 70 million? How about you give me the fucking number of your weed dealer? Because he's giving you grade A shit. If you think I'm paying you 70 million fucking quid for him, fuck that. You're not getting them." And that's just it, you know. Other players like Zuma's not getting the fucking money, big money that he probably should. He's a good player. Um,
mm,
yeah, it's so crazy. And that's if they stay up. If they go down, they're getting fucking picked clean for peanuts.
yeah. Like I don't think there's any kind of disagreements there because
And
again,
Watkins as well. Shit, I forgot about Watkins. Watkins is gone. Watkins has to go. He is far too good to be in that team. Far too fucking good.
uh, Watkins for Villa, you mean, is it?
Oh, wait, for fucking no. Oh, yeah, yeah.
You mean Ingsy
Fuck.
or?
No, who I'm talking about. Oh, Skamaka is who I'm talking about. Sorry.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Look, but again,
he,
like, he's a big money signing. Like they spent a
he
lot of fucking dough on him.
they
Like
don't use him correct. They don't use him correctly.
no,
Skamaka mixed up with fucking Watkins. Holy fuck, Neil. I'm either not drinking or I drink too much. I forget how
I
it
mean
works.
that both of them could be the possible.
I'll just
That's
flip a coin. Yeah, it's
yeah,
I'm
that's
not
it.
drinking enough. Yeah, but Skamaka as well, and they don't use him correctly. He doesn't know how to use him. So like,
Mm.
you spent all this money on him. You're not going to play him correctly, and he's just disgruntled. And now you're going to get relegated. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, so yeah, that's it. I don't. I don't. I just. I.
I think again, I don't know to throw into this conversation. Like I do fear for someone like Palace in that sense because like I think Palace treaded water a little bit last season and it kind of like I think it kind of got away with it because they went on a good run mid season, you know. And I think a lot of people just kind of didn't notice that they were on such a strange run. And again, it kind of same thing happened this season where I think they kind of had a good run of games, and that was hopefully they were hoping that's kind of enough to sustain them. And I think in other seasons it would have been, you know, they would have been able to kind of get away with it and leave it at that. But I think just this season has just been it's been different, and there's just so many other kind of factors into that. Like the fact there are so many teams potentially getting relegated this season is unspeakable. It is such a strange phenomenon that we haven't had before, you know, realistically speaking. Um, and I think it could result in a team like that. I think I'm trying to remember there was one season like that ended up having a massive casualty. I think it could have been the season that Newcastle got relegated the first time.
Mhm.
Because we kind of like it was always the attitude of like, oh well, Newcastle are too big to be relegated type of situation, and as kind of as was proven evidently in what happened. No, they're not. like like they're adequately, almost certainly big enough to go down.
Oh,
Um,
I
the
would.
team
I
is
would.
not.
Yeah, I'm like, as using the example you just gave there, I would severely question the mental faculties of anybody who's still using the "we're too big to go down" kind of lie. For that is what it is to
Mm,
say why they won't go down. I mean, like Palace are just the thing about Palace is that nothing's clicked for them for months. You know,
mm,
um, they have a team that only really turning on for a few minutes a game. You know, I mean, like, going back to the recent game where we stuffed them 4-1, they were never in that at any point.
mm.
Um, I think it was Schlupp only scored the goal because we totally switched off the corner, like to a criminal degree. Um, and that's just it. Like the midfield's dire. Like Miljovic and Schlupp, they're terrible in midfield. They don't
Yeah,
contribute anything with the ball. Like that's the reason why they only really contribute at set pieces or dead ball situations because they don't have to worry about moving with the ball or doing anything with it or even passing it. They just have to worry whether or not they can get to the ball if it's whipped in close enough to them, and that's it. And that's all they're really good enough to do at times. Um, they're just they're awful. Like they can't attack and they can't stop the opposition from attacking.
mm.
Um, So like, I mean, granted, it doesn't help that the last two games were against City and Arsenal, um, and they
In
lost.
fairness, it does kind of make you look worse, doesn't it? Like
It does.
it yeah.
I will admit now that that doesn't put a nice sheen on things.
No,
But as we pointed out, totally winless in 2023. And like, and they've got good players. They've got really good players. Eze, Ahmada,
a lot of
um,
sellable players too.
oh
That's it.
yeah,
Like that's the
like,
difference. Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, they might be finding out how sellable their assets are going to be coming the summer.
Mm.
Because if this situation gets markedly a lot worse, I reckon like lots of their players' heads are going to be turned.
Mm. And would you? Is there one team in that kind of in that set of eight that you would actively consider safe, and just them being in that kind of bracket is a bit of an outlier?
Uh, well, I wouldn't consider anybody in that bracket being an outlier
Mm.
because I all think they all deserve to be in there. But I
Yeah,
think the Wolves are safe.
I agree. I do consider them to be safe as well.
I think Wolves are safe, but that even then that's quite tenuous because they just don't score enough goals. But they're
Yeah,
again they're being helped out by the fact that both Everton and Notts Forest and West Ham are all and Southampton as well are all equally as poor at scoring fucking goals as they are. Like,
that does help matters, doesn't it? So
it
like,
helps. It helps when everybody else is just a little more shit than you.
yeah,
Um,
and that's all you can ask for in life, can't you?
that's all these guys are going to be fucking asking for. It's like,
Yeah,
please,
ain't that the truth?
please, just let them be a bit more shit.
Yeah.
And so yeah, but I think Wolves are safe. But look, again, I don't even consider that cast iron like rock solid. It's just how you phrase the question. If I absolutely had to bet money, otherwise it would catch fire and burn up. So if I
Mm.
absolutely had to bet money on one of those teams to stay up, I'd put it on Wolves.
Yeah, yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I think a lot of it also has to do with like who could like Palace possibly get into to take the reins over, and like you said, the names are kind of varying against ones that are really interesting, but also like, is that really what you want?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
are you?
Palace have more options than Spurs do, definitely.
Oh, for sure. That
Um,
goes without saying. Yeah.
but yeah, no, Palace can go. Palace can take this to new, interesting, maybe weird places.
Mm.
But I still think they did Vieira dirty. By the way, and I don't say that
Yeah.
just because I'm an Arsenal fan. And there's a nice, I have a soft spot, and like everybody's kind of pumping up the 4-1 victory as like a vengeance for Vieira because that was the number he wore for us.
Yeah.
See how the goals we scored against them. It's like vengeance for Vieira.
But no,
Um,
I agree with you on that one because when you actually look at even the winter they had, they actually spent zero money on that team. They thought that the ownership thought they were safe. Now, whether that was a directive from Vieira himself thinking he was fine or
oh,
whatever it
I
is,
severely doubt that that
I
was
would
it.
doubt that
I
too because like
severely doubt it.
they weren't in a safe position in the league at that time.
No.
You know, so I think like yeah, no, I'd say you definitely would not look at their league position and say, oh yeah, we can consolidate what we have there. So no, you want to add more because like regardless of the talent that these guys had on tap, you know, you still weren't scoring goals. You know, that is a critical issue they had there. You know,
Oh, yeah,
um,
I've been banging on that about that almost every podcast. It's like
hmm,
they just don't score goals, and I thought that's
yeah,
why Wolves are fucked, and I think that's the reason why Everton and not Forest are going to be fucked.
hmm,
They're not scoring goals. Like that's just it. you know,
yep. It genuinely is as simple as that. It sounds bizarre, but it really fucking is. Um, so yeah,
As Michael Owen, the font, the oracle of wisdom that is Michael Owen says, the team that scores the most goals tends to win.
and I mean, I can't really argue with logic like that. Like, I mean,
No,
he
you
is a
can't.
savant for a
It
reason.
is unimpeachable. That is
He
for
is. He
logic
is.
right there.
Well, we can't deny that. So I finally have tabulated what we need to do here, Neil. So
The tabulator's gone. Yeah.
tabulator has done its magic. Um, so what I'm doing here is I have tallied up what games are left for this set of these eight teams. Now there's a few matches missing that I'm going to hopefully pop in as we're talking, but excuse me. But we'll start off with Southampton because we definitely know what their situation is. So we've tabulated them, and we reckon they're going to end the season on 31 points, right?
Roughly, yeah.
Roughly about that, yeah. So this is where it gets interesting. So we'll do Everton next because they're another team that have played their like 28 games. So this is easier for us to manage at the minute. While I
Yeah, we're doing it by
find
games played, yeah.
pretty much, yeah. So if I go by that, then let's start. Their next game after the interlull is against Spurs at home. So again, snap judgments: win, lose, or draw.
Ooh, I think they'll draw that.
You think you'll draw that? Okay, fine. Man United away,
Oh, they're gonna lose that.
Fulham at home,
They will win that.
Crystal Palace away,
They will win.
Newcastle United at home,
They're gonna lose that.
Leicester City away,
Draw.
Brighton away,
Oh, they'll lose that.
Man City at home.
They're gonna lose that.
Quite a lot, I would say.
Yeah.
Wolves away.
Draw. Oh no, I think Wolves will win. I think they'll lose that.
Okay, and then Bournemouth at home is their last game of the season.
I think they'll go balls out for that, and I think it'll be a balls to the wall draw.
Balls to the wall draws, right? So we think 2 wins, three draws, which would give them 9 points. So again, that would leave them on the for going similar. They'd end on 35.
Mm-hmm.
So 4 better than Southampton. Okay, so that's interesting. So let's go again then. Let's rattle down to who else has got 28 games? Wolves. They're not an easy one to manage potentially. So Wolves start off then with Forest at home.
They'll win that. Oh no, yeah, they'll win that.
Okay, then by virtue, not Forest will lose that. Chelsea at home.
They will draw. I reckon they'll get a draw though.
Okay. Brentford at home.
Oh, they'll lose to Brentford.
Leicester City away.
They'll win. Beat
They'll
Leicester.
beat Leicester. Interesting. So again, by virtue of that, I am going to say Wolves will lose that. Interesting. Okay, cool. Palace at home.
They'll win.
Okay. This is handy because I'm filling out other people as well at the same time. Brighton away.
They will draw that.
Villa at home.
They'll lose.
Man United away.
Lose.
Everton at home. Actually, I believe we have Everton down to lose that game. So,
Yeah.
and then the last game of the season is Arsenal away.
Oh, they're gonna lose that. We're gonna win.
Well, you might
Even
need
if
to
we've
win,
already
but
won it by then. Oh, yeah, unless we, yeah, they're gonna lose it. 'Cause I
indeed.
genuinely don't think we'll win it until the very last game.
It could very well go down to that. But for
Mm-hmm.
Wolves, that gives them a tally of 14 points. So we have them down to finish on 41, which is
Ooh,
fair.
over the 40 threshold, they're safe by.
They're safe. They're safe. Yeah, exactly. Another team on 28 games will be Palace. So we filled out a few of these already. And again, these guys are ones that are kind of facing a lot of their brethren here. So Leicester City at home,
Draw.
draw. And by virtue, draw. Leeds away.
Lose.
Ooh, interesting. Oh. Southampton away. Now, I believe we have made a call on that already, and we have Southampton to win that game.
Mm-hmm.
Everton, we also had a call on that as well, and we think that they're going to lose that game against Everton. We think they're going to lose against Wolves. And now, West Ham United at home.
Ooh, I reckon that'll be a fucking turgid draw.
Right? I think you just set off the turret alarm there.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs away.
Hmm. I think they might. I might think they might swag a draw out of that. I think they might nick a cheeky point.
Yeah, depends on where Spurs are going from that, aren't they?
Yeah, that depends on what level the dumpster fire is at over
mm,
in the toilet bowl.
yeah, exactly. Then Bournemouth at home.
That'll be a draw as well.
Interesting. Very interesting there. And let me slot that in. Do I have a slot there for that? This could be the game I'm missing. No, there it is there. Fulham away.
Oh, I think they'll. I think they'll lose to Fulham,
Okay. And their last game of the season then is against Nottingham Forest.
which I think will be a win for them.
Ooh, interesting. So this is quite interesting. So only one win out of that run, the rest draws. So there'll be only 7 points for them.
Yeah,
But again, that will lead them on 34 points. Right. This is interesting. So now this is where I have to be retroactive because now I'm looking at the ones that have games in hand. So Bournemouth, let's start off with them. Let's go down from the bottom. So Fulham, first up at home.
they will draw that.
Then we got Brighton at home.
Lose,
We got Leicester away.
lose,
Okay, and then by virtue, let's win that. Spurs away.
lose.
West Ham at home.
They'll win.
Ooh, that's an interesting call. Leeds at home.
They'll lose.
Leeds at home. All right, so that'll be a. Oh god, especially it's so exciting, Neil. I can't stress enough how exciting they are. Chelsea at home.
Lose,
We've already agreed on Palace. Man United at home.
lose.
And I think we've already agreed on Everton. So we think that's going to be a balls to the wall draw.
Mm-hmm.
So, am I missing any games in that now? Is what I have to check because this is where we have a head melt. So we got Fulham, we got Brighton, we got Leicester, we got Spurs, we got West Ham. We've got no, last count. There we go. We got Fulham, Brighton, Leicester, Spurs, West Ham. Yeah, but Southampton missing. That's what we're doing. Okay, I think we already mentioned this.
Yeah, we would have
Yes,
mentioned something already.
we did. Yeah, so it's a Southampton draw is what we're missing there. Okay, that actually might make a difference. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 points altogether for Bournemouth. So that would lead them on 31 as same as Southampton.
Mm-hmm.
All right, very interesting. So let's switch then to West Ham, who are the only team to have two games in hand. Now I say that, but the game in hand is against Manchester City. So, and that's away. So will I say that, or will we just
Yeah, we'll just put that chalk and L down there, man. Chalk that shit.
chalk that as an L? Yeah, fair.
Oh, for West Ham.
Yeah, for like they're definitely going to lose the Man City away.
Yeah, they are the fucking garbage.
uh,
Really hoping one of these fucking proves me wrong and nicks fucking points off them, but I can't see fucking City losing any of these fucking games.
Unfortunately, not. No. So we have Southampton already decided that's going to be a draw. Newcastle at home.
They will lose that.
Fulham away.
They will win that.
Interesting. Arsenal at home.
They will lose that.
We've already decided on Bournemouth away. We think they're going to lose that game. Liverpool at home.
They're gonna lose that.
Palace away, which we may have disagreed on already. We
Have,
did.
yeah.
We think it's a draw. Man United at home.
Lose.
Brentford at home.
Lose.
And last game of this, or no, second last game of the season is Leeds away.
Lose.
Interesting. So we think Leeds are going to win that game. And then finally, Leicester away.
Draw.
Okay. Now see ties Leicester's hands as well. Okay, so let's see how Moisey's boys end the season. So we got one win, 1, 2, 3 draws. Ooh, they only get 30 points this season.
Yep.
Right.
Fucked.
They do seem fucked. Again, that is the measure of the run-in. So they actually would need a massive upset there to survive. So that's interesting. Very interesting. So next up then is Leicester. So we've already agreed on Palace. They think we're going to draw. Villa at home after that.
Oh, Leicester lose.
Leicester will lose. Okay. We think they're going to beat Bournemouth at home. Man City away.
They're gonna lose that.
Going to lose that. Bogey team denied. Wolves, we think they're going to lose that game. Now, Leeds United away.
They're going to draw that one.
I'll draw that one. So likewise, Leeds will do the same. And Everton at home, I think we've already decided on. So we think they're going to draw that game. Fulham away.
Ooh, draw.
And Liverpool at home.
They're gonna lose it.
And Newcastle away.
They're gonna lose.
And we already decided they're going to draw in the last game against West Ham. So
Mm-hmm.
tally that up. We have a win. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 draws, 5 draws actually. So that will be geez, I can't maths as well.
A
One,
win and
two,
five
three,
draws
four,
is 8 points.
eight points. There we go. 33. So again, at the moment, we are kind of defining the bottom three as West Ham, Bournemouth, and Southampton as they are
Yeah,
now.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, let's see if any teams can do worse than that, because that is going by current form entirely fucking possible. So let's move on to Nottingham Forest. So we've already agreed on Wolves, Leeds United away.
They will draw that one.
Okay, and by virtue, same again. Aston Villa away.
They will lose that one.
Man United at home.
Lose,
Liverpool away.
lose,
Brighton at home.
lose,
Brentford away.
lose.
And now, so we've seen Southampton away. Which way do we decide on that? Looks like we went for a Nottingham Forest win.
Yeah.
Okay. And Chelsea away.
Fuck, they'll lose.
Arsenal at home.
Lose.
And I think we've already agreed on the last game of the season against Palace, and we think Palace are going to win that.
Mm-mm.
Right. Now that is actually quite interesting. So we only think they only get 4 points, so they'd only be on 30.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's going to be saved between Bournemouth and Southampton. That's going to go down to goal difference.
Yep.
Last team to be decided then is actually Leeds. So if my maths are correct, and I think they are, I think that all games are counted. So Arsenal away is the first game back from the
Oh, we're
international.
gonna stuff them, baby.
Nice. So we've already decreed in the next two, which are home games against Forest and Palace. We think that's a draw and a win. Liverpool at home.
Lose.
Fulham away.
Draw.
And we've already decided on Leicester at home being a draw, Bournemouth away being a win, Man City away.
They're gonna lose, unfortunately.
Newcastle at home.
They will draw.
And then West Ham away.
I think they'll win that.
We do. Actually, we have that down as a win already.
Mm-hmm.
And then Spurs at home for their last game.
Oh. Fuck it. I think they'll win that. I think they'll go for it. They'll have to go for it.
Yeah, and like Spurs might not have anything to fight for at that point of the season. We do not know how good or bad they're going to be.
They got nothing to fight for now, yeah.
Okay, now this makes for very interesting reading. So let's sort that all out and see where we end up with this league table. You'll be shocked to hear, Neil. This is some fascinating stuff, some fascinating reading. So, if we're going from the top, right, we are predicting that Leeds will actually be 12th out of all this.
Mm-hmm.
Then 13th is going to be Wolves. But this is where it gets interesting. 14th, and definitely safe going by these maths, is Everton.
Mm-hmm.
We think they're going to finish on 35. Then you got Crystal Palace on 34. We think they'll actually win against Nottingham Forest is gonna survive, make them survive in the end. Leicester we think are safe as well, just by the virtue of draws. They'll finish on 33. And then this is where it gets quite interesting. So we think definitely going down are going to be West Ham and Nottingham Forest because they're both going to end on 30. But either Bournemouth or Southampton are going to go down with 31. And currently going by the current numbers, Bournemouth have substantially worse goal difference than Southampton. But of course, that all depends on how many times Southampton get stuffed in the run-in because they still have to face Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool. I mean, free scoring teams like Fulham and Brighton potentially as well. Whereas Bournemouth really only have to face Man United, Chelsea if they start scoring again. Yeah, they don't really have any batterings left in them, as it were. So yeah, I think Southampton could potentially go down just based on the running they have. So that's what we think the running is going to go. Do you agree with those numbers, Neil? Do you think the numbers don't lie there?
Well, they're completely made up numbers, so they can very much lie.
No,
Uh,
that was critical analysis, Neil. I
that's
mean,
critical analysis. Yeah, this is the shit that people pay for. I fuck it. You know, to be honest with you, this season is fucking crazy, man. That could very much happen. And if that happened, I wouldn't necessarily be. I definitely wouldn't be upset, but I wouldn't be too surprised. You know,
Hmm, yeah,
I actually reckon the reality would be far weirder, far crazier.
yeah, that's entirely possible. Actually, like I have these in reverse order. Like it could very well be the reverse order of this. That's the absurd part. Um, but yeah, like it's certainly like for someone like West Ham, you look at the two games in hand, you're thinking that's actually quite handy. But the reality is the two games in hand are against both Manchester clubs. You
Yeah,
know, that's not the advantage it looks like. Um, and you could probably say the same for like out of the three teams that have only like 10 games left, that's not a bit massive disadvantage either because Manchester City comes up a lot in this matrix as does Liverpool and Arsenal. So like again, these are teams. These are games that you're hope they're kind of like banking on an upset against those ones. But going by our kind of read of it, yeah, like you're looking at kind of upsets against possibly Spurs, maybe the odd one against like mid-table teams like Villa or Fulham. Um, like you can't really see any other ones kind of really springing a trap. But yeah, that's where we think the relegation scrap is going to go. Do you have any other business, Neil, before we wrap up this podcast? I suppose with the Champions League draw is very much that's like priming us for a potential Carlo Ancelotti derby, which I'll be very excited by.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, fucking Real are gonna pour everything they can into the CL, the Champions League, because that's their only real hope. Barca have
Mm,
pulled 12. They're now currently 12 ahead in La Liga. And that's surely the title for them.
yeah,
You
very
know,
much.
like that's it. So yeah, it's gonna be something. It's actually gonna be a fairly interesting one.
Mm,
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm
so
gonna
like
be watching. I'm gonna be watching a bit of Champions League. I reckon toward the tail end of the Champions League. I usually tune in the tail end of it. So yeah, I'm gonna be watching some of these. I'm looking forward to the Milan Napoli scrap. That's going
mm.
to be of the yeah. That's going to be the Milan Napoli scrap. I'm looking forward to that one. All Italian quarterfinal.
It's quite refreshing to see a lot of Italian teams in the Champions League because we've been told like so much about the quality of the Serie A being so poor. But again, the Champions League
I think
never
I,
actually
I
follows
think
the
that
form guide there, does it?
I think that's the quality of the bookkeeping in the Serie A.
Yeah.
Uh, the quality of the football, I think you'll find, is actually quite a good deal higher than people think. But yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it really does hark back to like days of yore having both Milan teams in there. And both would actually decent fucking well, not. I personally think AC Milan are fucking boned. I think
Yeah.
they're gonna
Oh,
get
they're
absolutely,
gonna get wiped out by
they're
Napoli.
gonna
I don't
get
think
fucking
that.
pumped by Napoli. But Inter have a real chance against Benfica. Um,
Mm. But Benfica have been a really good Champions League side this year. Like they really have been. They wiped out everyone in the fucking group stages, and like they weren't like they were pretty clutch in the round of 16 as well. But just having a really decent team, not like how like usual seasons they'd have where they have a talisman and let's prime him up, let's sell him on, and move on to the next one. They just have a decent outfit this year.
yeah, no, the squad doesn't really have any tremendous weaknesses, but
Mm.
also it's held back. It doesn't have any tremendous strengths either.
Yeah, that's the
Which is
that's
what
the fair point as well.
which
Yeah.
is your talent, what your talisman analogy was. Normally they'd have, oh, look at this guy, this guy's fucking incredible. Arr!
Mm.
Too bad everybody around him's absolute gash.
Yeah.
Uh, but now they've gone for balance above all else. Um, yeah, we'll see. I mean, that's an intro. You know, I'm actually probably going to be watching almost all of these games. Um,
Mm.
loving to see
Very
Real.
watchable games. They're all very
Oh
watchable
yeah,
games.
loving to see Real stuff Chelsea. I don't really see that ending one way.
Yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately for Chelsea.
this, yeah, look, they're not going to be able to best Real. I'm amazed that Dortmund just threw in the towel for some fucking weird maybe they were all out at the sex club the night before. Um, they're like in the Germany. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, and the City Bayern game, the Pep Derby, that's going to be
Yeah, that
tasty.
this one is the most like obviously it's the name it's the fiction that strikes the most out to you immediately. But again, what the most interesting thing about it is for me is that this is the real gut check to see how good Munich actually are because there's always been a lot of talk about Nagelsmann as a coach. There's always a talk about Munich having this kind of European prestige, and they haven't really got anywhere near in the last few seasons. They've like we knocked them out of the round to 16 one time. I think the closest they've got has been quarter final. I could be mistaken there. And they made the final. Obviously, the season they won a couple of years ago with Thomas Frank. Um, but they Thomas Frank? No, of course not Thomas Frank. That's my football manager. I've been thinking of. With Hansi Flick.
Separated from reality, man. It seeped in too much.
No, stop it.
You gotta.
Sorry, Tony
We're gonna
Mueller
have
is
to
the
stay.
Brighton coach. Shut the fuck
We're
up,
gonna have to
Neil.
bump up that fucking intervention for you.
No,
It's
shut up.
not real.
It is real.
It's real to
James
me.
Rodriguez is managing Portsmouth. Shut the fuck up. Now, the thing is that, at least with Munich, that like there has been so much hype about Nagelsmann and that cult following that he seems to have, that he thinks he's the wunderkind of football
Yeah.
coaching.
You're a cult
Let's see how
meister.
good you are when you go up against the original wunderkind of football coaching. You
Hmm.
know, um, and again, the kind of conundrum is the João Cancelo situation. Like, which side is he on? Considering he's unhappy at both clubs. So, like,
Is he unhappy at Bayern?
yeah, apparently he's not getting enough game time,
Fucking hell.
which is hilarious because the weekend he gives out about not having any game time, he scores a scorcher against Stuttgart in the Bundesliga. So there's really no fucking pleasing the guy. Um, But yeah, I think that has to go down to the loan kind of stipulations. I think like Chelsea had that one year with Courtois, I think, where like he was technically owned by them but had to play for Atletico and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it depends on which way they look at because the UEFA rules are very much caveated compared to the other ones. But yeah, that like the quarterfinals are one story, but the actual semi-final draw is another one because as it kind of pans out, there's a kind of almost like an Italian corner to the semi-final draw compared to say the English slash like the European elites draw, let's say, on the other side. So you got Munich, you've got a potential Munich Real semi-final, or equally you've got a like Man City Chelsea semi-final on the opposite side, whereas you've got Napoli versus a sacrificial limb. That's like it is very much all set up for Napoli to get to the final, which I think is
Oh
right. Like,
yeah. I'm like when I saw the draw, I was like, oh man, uh, what are the odds on them making it to the final? They gotta be if they've not changed.
mm,
Fucking stick your fucking baby's milk money on that.
yeah,
Like,
because they would have wrapped up to Serie A by the time the quarterfinals are over.
absolutely, man. Yeah, they got what
Yeah.
they're fucking 18 clear. Like, holy shit. Like,
Mm. Well, there's no matter about that. They. I'm actually just confirming it now. I think it is. Yeah, it is 18 clear. Yeah, dead on Neil. So they got six games buffer between this and the rest of the season. So I think they're good. I think they got it covered.
they can take one off.
If they can take six off if they wanted to, let's be honest.
Yeah,
Like they're not going to do it with Kevin Keegan here. I think they've got it good. They've got it down pat. Like,
that's it. So that's it. Yeah, but if Napoli don't make the final, I will be full frontally amazed.
and again, the question is, can they actually win it? Is that the big one?
Depends. If they come up against Real, no. If they come up against anyone else, yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. I like that. I think that does make sense though. Like it does. Like as I said, Real in the Champions League is an irresistible concept. It is.
Real, the Champions League is what Real do. Like
Yeah.
I like trying to argue against that is like you might as well go down to the beach and try and brush the tide back. Like
Yeah.
it's the Real is the Champions League. The Champions League is Real. They've
Mm.
won it more times than anybody else, and there's a fucking reason for that. And it's just like, yeah, they've been written off in the Champions League so many goddamn times, and they've proven everybody wrong. And I'm not going to be one of those people. Um,
You don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that
I
guy.
don't, I don't want to be well. I don't want to be in with those guys. Those guys are weird. Um, well, no, it's just Real do the Champions League, and again, as we said, they're not going to win La Liga, so the Champions League is the only thing they've got. So
Mm.
they're going to go ham on it. They're going to go all in. Like they're not going to drop out of qualification in La Liga. for it, so it's not as if they have to fight for the top spots. And so they'll go ham on the fucking Champions League, and they'll
Mm.
go, yeah, we won the Champions League, we won the top thing. Fuck the league, like, you know,
Yeah, no, that's
we
fair.
still
I
go
get that.
pot one. We still go pot one, winning it.
Yeah. So then on the opposite side, then if we're talking about the Europa League, so unfortunately Arsenal's investment in the Europa League ended
Mm-hmm.
with quite frankly like mad game at the Emirates
It was
because
mental.
it was well poised from the first leg. To be fair, it was 2-2, crazy game, and then it kind of like returned back to that kind of form because it was all going well for Arsenal, and the Ramsdale got cut out from 50 yards with a superb goal from Gonzalez.
Mm-hmm.
And then it basically was like they had like Ugarte getting sent off, and then it went to penalties. Like the game had everything. And if anyone was worried that Arsenal might be worn out from that affair, well, it seemed that Crystal Palace had a similar game because they got smashed 4-1 afterwards. So,
Mm-hmm.
I think Arsenal were good there. But the other side is that there is only one English club left in that competition, that's Man United, and they have a date with perennial winners of the Europa League, Sevilla.
Mm-hmm.
So
Can't avoid them Spanish teams.
they really, really can't. And not only that, but like they can't seem to avoid the good Spanish teams. Like if United get drawn with anybody, it's usually like Villarreal or Sevilla, or as they found earlier on in the competition, Sociedad. Like they're the good ones that know what they're doing. It's like, where's like Granada or Barcelona? Are they not around? No, apparently not. But yeah, like it seems to be. Is this a good competition for United to win, or do you reckon there's a bigger favorite out there? Because I actually see a bigger favorite here.
Well, I mean, they obviously have the quality to fucking to win it.
Hmm.
Um, absolutely. But yeah, like who do you think will win it? Hang on.
The fixtures are Feyenoord Roma, Bayer Leverkusen USG, Juventus Sporting, and United Sevilla. So those are the actual like kind of like the quarterfinal numbers, let's say, and then like 1 and 2 are paired together, and 3 and 4 are paired together. That's how it works.
You think Juve will win it, don't you?
I think Roma's going to win actually,
Oof. How
and the
dare
reason I
you
say
say
that,
such a thing?
Jose,
No,
this
he cannot be allowed to be happy.
no, I'm not saying he's going to be happy. He's winning the
Bad
fucking
enough
Europa.
him winning the fucking Conference League last season.
Yeah, and
No,
he burst into tears. Like that wasn't those weren't tears of joy. Those were tears of sadness. Like
no,
this is
exactly. And I'm happy with him having tears of sadness. That's why I put up with it. But no, if he wins the Europa League, there will be tears of joy. And no, that cannot happen. The earth cannot allow this.
but but, but Neil,
No, fuck
look at this.
Mourinho. I don't care. It's not happening. I don't care. I'd much rather see Manchester United lift that fucking title, and that will actually burn me.
I know. Well, you know me. Like I always go for the reverse jinx. That's the way. If I say, "Oh, Roman's gonna win," they're gonna be knocked out next. So like that's you have to play the game. You have to play the game a little bit. But no, I do. I like all joking aside. Like I think like there are teams in Italy. I think they're set up good for competitions like this. I think it's not a surprise that there's so many Italian teams in European competition this year. Like obviously Juventus are just there surely because they're shambles. Like that's not sugarcoated. But you look at the Milan teams, like they navigated those semi-final or the round 16s quite well. Granted, AC Milan only had to beat Spurs, so that wasn't much of a difficulty. But Inter had to win their game. Napoli have been impervious all season, and Roma are a very good knockout team. Like that, like they do have the experience of the ECL last season to roll back on because like how many like random teams had to face, and if I'm not mistaken, actually that quarter final is actually a repeat of the ECL final.
I don't
I think it
know.
is. I think they did beat Red Feyenoord in the final, so that's already a grand bit of heat there. But they're also on the easiest side of the bracket because they had to face either Bayer Leverkusen or USG in the final or the semi final. So they don't have to. They can avoid Juventus and United and whoever else is on that bracket. So
Yeah, because Juve and United are going to hit each other. Although that's
potentially,
assuming that Juve get past Sporting, which I don't know. And again, assuming Man U get past Sevilla, which isn't guaranteed either. So
neither of those ties are guaranteed. No, but I can see Roma clearing Feyenoord and Bayer Leverkusen. I don't see USG going any further because, like it's just like they have a ceiling, unfortunately. But that'd be my view on it as well. And like if we're talking about West Ham are still in the ECL as well. Like they are the best team in that competition by a country mile. Um, Unless you can count Nice, like Nice would be a good shout as well. But like West Ham should win that competition, shouldn't they? From this point,
Yeah, they really should. I mean, they
yeah.
can't. They can't be losing to the likes of fucking Ghent or yeah, they got. I'm like the winner, the semi final will be them against the winner of Alkmaar and Anderlecht.
Which
I'm
would
like,
probably be Alkmaar, realistically speaking.
who cares? Who knows? Who cares even? Yeah, I don't give a fuck. To be honest with you, simply because I have a wee bit of a soft spot for some weird reason for them, I'd love to see Fiorentina. I know,
Same
yeah,
actually. I don't know what
I'd
it
love to
is.
see
Like, oh, it's
Fiorentina.
nice for them to be around. Yeah.
I do, yeah. But yeah, that's I don't give a fuck.
It would be such a weird season for West Ham to like by our kind of relations potentially to win the Europa Conference League and then having to get relegated, which means they get a Europa League spot and then also have to play in the championship next season. Like, how cruel would that fucking be? I don't actually remember the last time that's happened. Like, I think there was a Millwall that were in the championship and also had to play in the UEFA Cup at the time. And that was like substantially less games back then. So like West Ham would be like easily looking at a season of like 64 games.
No, they wouldn't have to play both competitions. I think they just default to the Champions League. They qualified for that.
No, but if they win the no, they win the
Oh,
Europa Conference League, then they win. They go into the Europa League.
yeah.
They get on that.
Oh, you
So
mean
that's
if they get into Europa League and then they get relegated?
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah,
Oh, right. Yeah. Sorry, I kind of misheard the question. Yeah. Well, actually, funnily enough, here's the hilarious thing: Sevilla are somewhat fucking.
they're in a similar boat as well, aren't they? Like
Yeah,
because they
they're only 2 points above relegation in in the La Liga. So like, there's a high chance that I might fucking get relegated and still have to play in the Champions League.
that's a
Or
good
yeah,
point actually.
yeah,
In the one competition they're actually good at.
yeah.
That's mad. Yeah, that hadn't crossed my mind either. But yeah, that could be spicy. Looking forward to that. Yeah, fair enough then. Well, that's all to look forward to in Europe anyway.
Mm-mm.
Um, but yeah, I think that's the end of our show anyway, Neil, because that's all of the business we have. The interlude has kicked in, so like we can certainly talk about international football, but I mean, from an Irish standpoint, it's not going to go well because we're going to draw against Latvia because we always draw against the smaller teams, and we're going to bravely lose against France because we always bravely lose against the big teams. So it's an age of inspiring apathy for the Irish team at the moment. We know we're shit. They know they're shit, but hey, we're gonna have a lovely time along the way, and that's the main thing. We knew we're never gonna qualify for the competition based on the draw alone. We are
Yeah.
always going to lose that. Like fucking hell. Um. So if anything, all our coverage is going to be doing is just criticizing Gareth Southgate for being very bad at this job. Like
Yes.
that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have fun with that. I mean, come on, Garrett. Why don't you play all four right backs at once? That makes complete sense.
That's what he wants
Uh,
to do.
I know he doesn't have any choice. All of his best players are right backs. It's fucking ridiculous. You can blame the English system for that, I suppose. But yeah, until then, we're gonna leave it here for now. Neil, as always, thank you very much for your contributions tonight. Always a pleasure. And when we come back, then on the Liquid Football Podcast, we will talk about everything that's been happening, whether it be international or otherwise. But until then, all that was Liquid Football.
Do